Dr. Pushpito Ghosh, the director of the institute, the scientists of the institute, my ex-colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I am addressing on a very special occasion on the 60th anniversary of the inauguration of this institute. It was way back by Dr. Mata Prasad in the early 1950s. And since then, the institute has grown from height to height. And I would like to mention here some of the important achievements of the institute during my period from 1982 to 1991, when I was the director. I was appointed as director of the institute in April 1982, and this was a turning point in my career because I was professor of chemistry already at Osmania University, had a very large research group, and for me it was a change from teaching to the academic to the technological administration and technological pursuits. And this was a very welcome change for me because for these 10 years was a big change in my career where I have synthesized science with technology, I think, in a very meaningful manner. 1982 was also the time when Mrs. Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India, and at that time she has installed a 5-point program for the development of the country, and out of these 5 points, 3 of them were directly related with the activities of this institute. The first program was desalination and supply of water to far-off places, especially in areas where water was not available or water was available at very great depths, and that was all saline water. The second area of her interest, which was also an area of interest of the institute, was the wasteland development program. And under the wasteland development program, we had initiated various schemes for this development, and the third was goiter control. So in these 3 areas, we ventured the development of the institute, and I am glad to see that between 1982 and 1991 of my retirement, we had developed a sizable technology to the extent that for the first time, India had exported desalination technology beyond its borders, and we were able to install desalination plants in Thailand, and that was a great achievement. Now coming to the desalination technology, this technology has a great future, and our institute has the distinction of being initiating indigenous program in desalination technology. In the beginning, they had cellulose acetate membranes, and that was not very useful, and then they have developed polyamide membranes, and then nowadays the membranes available are all based on nanotechnology. But we have developed the membranes to an extent that we were able to desalinate water and also to pump water from deep wells by the use of solar technology. Therefore, it was a combination of solar technology and desalination, to the extent that we were able to supply water to far-off places in Rajasthan. And in one of the meetings, CSIR has the distinction of the Prime Minister of India being the chairman of the Council of Scientific Industrial Research. And In those days, Mrs. Indira Gandhi was very much interested, and we had programs with direct meeting with her for at least twice a year. And she used to take a lot of interest in the development program. And it was by her encouragement that we were able to make a lot of progress in the desalination of water. And we invited Mrs. Indira Gandhi to inaugurate the first plant, and the institute has the photographs of her coming to a place where we had installed this plant, and she was responsible to just give more funds to the institute and then to encourage us to develop further. And the second step was when we had developed the technology to an extent that we invited the Rajiv Gandhi, the then Prime Minister, to come and inaugurate the desalination plant which we were exporting to Thailand. This was the first time that a desalination plant, the local technology, was exported to a country like Thailand. In spite of all the problems and in spite of competitions from DuPont and the other companies, Thailand selected our technology because it was very cheap in those days. It was almost 1 paisa per liter in India, the cost of the desalinated water. So this was to the extent we had developed that water was available to far-off places in India, and water was and the technology was exported to Thailand. The second program was the wasteland development, in which we were interested to develop areas in Gujarat which has large areas of desert and nothing grows there. For we had collaborated with Government of Mexico for this program, and I personally visited the Sonaro desert in Mexico and have seen this cultivation of a plant called jojoba, which grows in those areas, and Gujarat was an ideal place for the cultivation of this plant. So we imported jojoba plants from Mexico and got them seasonalized in Gujarat, and we were able to develop this plant in Gujarat to an extent that large areas of land were cultivated with jojoba, and this plant has got omega amino acids and also very useful, and this was used by the Indians in those days for coloring their faces. So we have developed this, and this was a very successful experiment for wasteland development. The third program which the institute took part and still very, very active is goiter control and the supply of iodized salt to very far off places. And in this connection, I had my vast experiences to visit some of the tribal areas. In fact, I was the only person to have visited Nagaland in those days to give them desalinated, to give them iodized salt, because goiter was very much there in that part of the country, and nobody dared to enter there. But they invited me with a group, and they called me, and they respected me so much because they said that India has given us this iodized salt, and they said that ये आपने हमको नमक दिया है, and so and also places in the far northwest and also the tribal areas, also the Himachal Pradesh. So this was also a very successful program of training the people to make their own iodized salt and be self-sufficient, so that they may not wait for the supply of salt to that place, because they were so far off and it is remote places that it was very difficult for the transportation. So that was a very important advance in the development program of the institute. I think the institute still continues this program, and then it will do that in future. Also, in spite of all the objections raised by other laboratories and also some people that I was making CSMCRI as a university by starting basic research, but I did not care for their comments, and we started basic research programs. And these basic research programs were based on some of the projects which were already there in the salt, and that was the marine algae. Marine algae is a very important area of research in which I think there's a lot of scope. And you know, this institute has done remarkable work, and we were able to make use of the blue-green algae for production of hydrogen from water and also for the utilization of solar energy. So this was an interaction of inorganic chemistry with biology and biochemistry, and this was a frontier area in which the institute had done work, and we were able to present our papers in the International Conference on Hydrogen Energy in Vienna, where the work was very much accepted, and still the work is being continued by students in Switzerland. And one of my students in Switzerland is doing such a remarkable work in the development of solar energy that he is counted as the first 100 chemists in the world. So that was the impact of the research work being done in this institute, and which was spread far off the borders of India, other places. And the emphasis on research was to such an extent that some of my students had done remarkable work in the institute. For example, Sandhya Mishra has done very remarkable work, and Dr. Ramchandra Yar, Dr. Amjad Hussain. All these were my students, and still my students are doing extremely well. Two of my students are now vice chancellors of the universities of Osmania University. My student Satnarayana, who did part of his work in Bhavnagar, and another is Veera Reddy, who is now the vice chancellor of Karimnagar University. One of the important areas of basic research that we initiated in the institute was homogeneous catalysis, and this is an area for which the institute has become famous and is known all over India and also all over the world. And I hope that this area of research is continued in the institute and pursued to an extent that it becomes a center of excellence once again in this area. So I wish all the scientists a very bright future in coming years, and I hope that as the institute progresses towards the Platinum Jubilee, it will grow from one step to another to heights that I think will become one of the most important centers in the country. So my students are doing extremely well, and I think the same is true of the legacy that I have left in the institute, and I hope that the institute will progress along these lines. Another point which I want to make is that I had made Bhavnagar an international center for science by inviting people. We had a coordination chemistry research conference where I invited people from United States. Dr. Martel had come from United States and others from England, and we have also conferences of the National Academy of Sciences of India in Bhavnagar. Therefore, it has become a research center, not only a technological center, but a research center too. But I think development in basic research is extremely important for this country, and I hope that Bhavnagar continues to do research not only in the technological areas, but also in the basic research. And I wish great success of the institute. I am sorry that I am not able to come personally and greet all of you and meet some of my old friends, especially my peon Jhala, uh, who was with me all the time, and then I expect others also. And I think some of the staff may be still there, and I wish them good health and continued service in this in the institute, and also service for the development of the nation. Thank you all.